This is Onward Nation, episode 651.
Get ready to find your recipe for success from America's top business owners here at Onward Nation with your host, Stephen Woessner.
Good morning, I'm Stephen Woessner, and welcome to episode 651 of Onward Nation, where 5 days a week, I interview one of today's top business owners so we can learn their recipe for success, how they built and scaled their business. In fact, our 12 Success Strategies ebook is a compilation of the best business building advice shared by our guests. Just go to onwardnation.com/12 download to get yours. That's onwardnation.com/12 download, and we will send it right to your inbox. Now let's welcome today's guest, Tommy Breedlove. Tommy is the founder of Choose Goodness, a company dedicated to helping executives and entrepreneurs focus beyond the financial bottom line. By empowering leaders, Tommy bridges the gap between humanity and profitability. He transforms organizations to attract and retain the best and brightest people, create a loyal customer base, and promote goodwill within their communities. Choose Goodness provides both the rational and emotional perspectives to the strategic and financial decision-making process. Welcome to Onward Nation, Tommy.
Hello, Onward Nation. Hello, Stephen. Happy to be here. Good morning. I'm really excited to speak with all of you guys today.
Well, I am happy that you're here too, my friend, and I'm excited that you accepted my invitation. But before we dive in with the questions, actually, Tommy, take us behind the green curtain. You've accomplished a lot in your career, and in the bio is a portion of that. But bring us up to speed with your path and journey, and then we'll dive in with the questions.
Totally be happy to, Stephen. And so we'll start at the age of 36 or 37 years old. I was a junior partner in a large financial consulting firm based here in the Southeast United States. And I woke up one day and it was all about, during that time in my life, I was that guy of ye who turns the lights off last wins, the guy who has the biggest watch, the biggest cars. I'm going to work harder than you, longer than you. And I was compromising all of my values, my dignity, and who I wanted to. I actually didn't even know who I wanted to be as a human. I was just seeking for that next big deal, the next big thing. And it was all about money, money, money. And then I looked up at 36 years and I was like, look behind me. And all I saw was this wake of just what I thought was just destruction. I'm like, what am I doing and why am I doing this? And so I went on this path, and some people call it hitting rock bottom. We'll call it for coolness sake, we'll call it a spiritual awakening, right? So I went on this path of just trying to seek who I was as a man, as a human, and how did I want to achieve meaning and purpose in life. And so Choose Goodness, which is now the movement that I run, was born then. But initially, it was born just as a benchmark for me as a human being. I would ask myself, in the decisions that I make, have I chose goodness for myself, someone close to me, my community, or my planet? And what the coolest thing happened during that time is I went from that guy the guy wearing the different masks, powerful guy, cool guy, tough guy, important guy, all this nonsense, ego-driven BS that we wear as entrepreneurs and business leaders in this world. And I went from working, no kidding, 90 hours a week down to probably 35 or 40. But the most amazing thing happened to me. I went from being one of the most disliked people at the firm to one of the most beloved. I got promoted, and this is no joke. I went from junior partner to international practice leader to senior partner / equity holder. So I was an owner of the business, and then elected to the board of directors by 39, all by living my value systems, my truth, taking all that armor and mask and just putting myself out there about how I wanted to treat others, how I wanted to treat my clients, and how I wanted to treat our people. We were winning these awards. So just by doing the right things and choosing what I call goodness, and goodness means something to everybody. But what it was amazing pre-36 is I never thought I had the permission to choose. I was really put a lot of stock in what other people thought and the things our society promotes. And I really wasn't making those clear, conscious, and courageous choices. And that's how Choose Goodness was born. And that has turned into a movement of education, consulting. It's got, we do a lot of We sit on a lot of boards and business mentoring, but that's a little bit about where I've come from and where I've been and what I'm doing now. And a little more specifically now, it's interesting all of where I'm heading to now and my piece of the Choose Goodness movement. It's quite a big movement now. There's a lot of moving parts to it. But where I'm being drawn is because so many of these entrepreneurs or business leaders or executive, and it tends to be men, they're like, they see what I've been through, they see what I've done, they see me as one of them, but they're like, how are you doing this, dude? Help me figure out how to achieve meaning in my life, how to gain some sort of balance, and how to live with purpose and significance without compromising my financial dignity or progress. We get so much value out of us as ambitious business leaders about the money side and the prestige side. And I'm a firm believer that you can have it all. You can actually achieve meaning in life and significance and work in your zone of brilliance without compromising your financial success. And so many of these men who are just lost or have lost balance or lost perspective or compromising all these things are approaching me. So it's just kind of fallen in my lap, Stephen. I'm not a psychologist. I've just lived it, got the scars to prove it. And all of these people are approaching me. They're like, hey, can you coach me? Can you mentor me? Or can you come in my business and help us with leadership, innovation, or culture just to be better than we were yesterday and achieve meaning? So Stephen, that's really a short snippet about me and the Choose Goodness movement and where I'm going to next. And so I'll be happy to answer any questions about that from here.
Well, and I have a bunch. I mean, this is wow. I think it's really telling too, like going back to, like you described it as, rock bottom and then, spiritual awakening. But I think you're asking yourself the core questions, right? What am I doing and why am I doing it? Right. I mean, that's like in really getting truthful with yourself as opposed to coming up with some sort of cockamamie, thing that sort of appeases. But like, if you can truly answer those core questions, then you really have something, don't you?
Oh, totally. Absolutely. And I just didn't want to compromise my values or my dignity anymore. And for what? It was never going to be enough, Stephen. There was the next big deal or the next big promotion or the next big bonus or whatever it was going to be. All of those things are important. And as ambitious business leaders and entrepreneurs, I mean, of course, those things are great. And I am a businessman at heart. I love it. I come from a big financial background, but it was never going to fulfill me. And even my clients, some of them at the time were billionaires. Some of them were, our core business was that $10 million business to $500 million business when I was a partner at the firm. But there were so many very wealthy individuals that you could just tell they were lost or didn't have balance, and they were just seeking. And I didn't want to become them. And I also knew, and this is just being very transparent and honest, if I continued down that path that I was on, because I was truly living that Mad Men lifestyle, and what that really was, be honest with you, it was just this insecure, didn't feel worthy enough businessman who was just trying to mask it with all of these things and power and prestige and title. And I just didn't want to become that. And I felt like at that time in my life, I'm 43 now, so that was 7 years ago, I felt like that it was honestly becoming life or death for me, because I saw it all around me in the legal community, the banking community, the financial consulting community, my entrepreneurial clients. And it was just this sickness of we've lost ourselves for this pursuit of something that we're never going to obtain. And so I didn't want to become that. And I really wanted to change my life and help others to do that as well.
Well, and I find it sort of the transformation, if you will, if you don't mind that I use that word, when you said,
I like that word. We'll call it, some call it just bouncing off the bottom, brother.
But you said, within the firm, you went from, disliked to the most beloved. And that in and of itself is a huge, transformation. But in a 3-year span, when you decided to do something different, I think I heard you say, by living your value system, by the time you were 39, there was a series of accolades, and one of those being, voted onto the board of directors at 39 years old. And it sounds like you give credit to the fact that you are living your value system that's what helped that ascension, if you will. Am I tracking with you?
You're totally tracking with me, and I think the other senior partners, and they were significantly older than I was at the time. So I was this young skippy buck, and of course there was some financial things because the business and the international practice was growing so rapidly because we were doing the right things. But it was also they didn't. I think. What I saw in the mirror pre-36 and what they saw in the mirror pre-36 were probably two very different things. And they probably saw, yes, this guy's a great businessman. Yes, he's a great financial mind. He's done hundreds of mergers and acquisitions, transactions, financial audits. He does all this great work and he's smart, but he compromises his ethics, his family, his values every single day. And I think everyone saw right through me. I thought I had this sheet of armor on and that, what I projected out to the world, everyone saw, but candidly, I was probably standing there naked. And so when I actually started living with my value systems and my integrity, I think that began to give them trust in me as a leader of the firm. And then when they saw how others were reacting to me, everybody wanted to be on our team. They put me out doing all the recruiting all around the Southeast United States. So I think it was a trust thing. So I think you're absolutely right. When I started making conscious and courageous choices that were good for me and good for those around me, it really changed my life.
Isn't that interesting? Because this facade that we sometimes create or think that we need to create, that's probably the better way to say it, that we need to create, is to make us seem courageous and strong and bold and so forth. Yet people saw right through it. And then when you really did become courageous because you became vulnerable in living your value system, which does take the true courage, people responded to that and said, yeah, that's our guy, that guy. That's who we're going to build a practice around. That's really powerful, Tommy.
Yeah, and that's the truth. It didn't come without significant, this is the transparent truth behind this is when you live a certain lifestyle and you live in a state of fear and scarcity, that's that whole mask that I was wearing that, hey, I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to be the powerful, prestigious, young partner, blah, 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 all that nonsense. When you live from that state of mind and you're bullying and you're scared and you're fearful, you tend to attract those type of people around you. And so that transition from that guy to the new whatever this was, I like transformation. We're going to use your word instead of mine. It didn't come without criticism because there's this locker room / fraternity mentality. You're either with us or you're against us. And a lot of people, and there's a lot of people still in this community who reach out to me, and I'm talking all over the country now, they reach out to me, but they still wear those masks and they're compromising their values. They're compromising their family. They're wanting to live this cool, tough guy fraternity mentality, and they're really unfulfilled and happy in life. So outwardly, I would get criticized a lot and made fun of because I was different now. I wasn't the guy that was going to the clubs at night and doing all this crazy stuff to the guy that just, was taking care of himself and other people. And that first part, taking care of yourself, is so tough sometimes because we get caught so much in the outward stuff. But it didn't come without criticism and it didn't come without judgment. It was interesting. A lot of times I would get criticized in public, but in private, they're like, hey, man, what are you doing? I need some of that. Don't tell anybody. So it wasn't as easy as it sounds, but it got easier, and it's amazing the humans, the business opportunities, the mentors, the coaches, just my community and friends and family that have just surrounded, like attracts like, and I know that sounds foo-foo, but it's so true.
No, it doesn't sound that way at all, and I think that is accurate, and there's certainly been well documented research on that topic. So my guess is many Onward Nation business owners, men and women alike, are hearing your words about your transformation and are feeling inspired by that, and so I'm trying to think of like the question that they might want me to ask you next, and I think it might be something like, okay, this sounds really interesting. And you gave us one question, and this is probably like the ultimate litmus test question that you can ask yourself each day. Have I chosen or did I choose goodness for myself today? But if somebody wants to get started on this path, So are there a couple of nuggets that you might give to them as far as, okay, you need to maybe put these couple of ingredients in your recipe? Like, how would you suggest that somebody get started on this if this is really resonating with them?
It's really not easy, and that's where the courage comes in. I mean, the truth of the matter is this: there's no magic pill. There's no easy fix. If you in life, and it doesn't matter, we can have all those external successes in business. And I'm sure most of the people who listen to your show, just like me and you, are ambitious business leaders who go, go, go. And I still am that way because I love the game. I love business. I love being on boards. I love consulting. I love speaking, blah, blah, blah. But at what cost? I mean, if you feel that you are unfulfilled in life, and it doesn't matter how much business success you have, and that you're constantly having to wear different masks wherever you go. Like if you're a different person at work than you are at home, or when you're at work, you're thinking about home, and when you're at home, you're thinking about work, and you just don't feel fulfilled, you've lost balance, you don't feel like you've got meaning or purpose. And I know that word purpose gets thrown around a lot these days, but your truth, whatever your truth as a human being is, or whatever you want to stand for, if you just think you don't have that, and you're just in this constant rat race of the next big thing, and you're never in this present moment, and that's huge. I know that's a tough one to understand sometimes, but when we get caught up in our businesses and our lives and ambition, we're constantly the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and we never are here right now with whoever we're talking to, whether it be our family members, our customers, our vendors. We're constantly thinking about what to say, or the next big meeting, or the next big deal. If that's you, and you feel like I'm never here right now, I'm always somewhere else planning and hoping that, to be the next greatest, biggest thing, but knowing when you become the next biggest, greatest thing, you're still going to be unfulfilled. That's when I would tell you that it might be time to invest in yourself, whether it be coaches or mentors or masterminds or whatever your thing is. There's a lot of different things out there. And whether I'm doing business mentoring or individual coaching, there's a lot of tools that you can put in your toolbox to help you find that meaning in life and balance in life without compromising your ambition or your financial success and all that stuff. So it's really a gut feeling. It has, and you got to be honest with yourself. And here's the tough part, and this is the truth. Even though you might want change in your life, are you willing to take that change? Are you willing to take that courageous action? Because you might lose certain friends. You might not be involved in the same things you've always been involved with. But if you can take that massive step and have the courage to really look within and invest in yourself and choose, quote, goodness for yourself, and to really, really double down to help you find that balance and meaning in life, it'll be the best thing you've ever done. But it's really hard to do. Trust me, I know. I'm in evolution 3 of my life. And so I know how difficult it is. And Stephen and Onward Nation, I'm not kidding you. I spend between an hour to 2 hours a day investing in myself in a lot of different tools so that I can serve my communities, I can serve my businesses, my boards, et cetera. And so this is a nonstop journey. It's not something, it's not a light switch, and it's just a journey. But once you start investing in yourself and self-growth and really working on all facets of you as a business leader and human, the journey just becomes awesome. I mean, it's hard to describe. I wish I could touch folks and I'm from the Southeast, so I say folks. And so I wish I could touch folks and really get them to understand, because I go into so many businesses and do so many talks, or I'm in these clubs around the country, and I just see this misery in this game and these masks that we wear of ego and toughness, and I can't show weakness, and I'm too proud, and I've got to be perfect. And none of that's true, man. And so that's a really long-winded way of saying it's a tough decision, but it's got to be a gut feeling.
Well, and I think that makes sense. And so I think the path, based on what you just said, like the first ingredient or the first step in that path is really having the courage and the guts to take that first step. Because you're going to face internal criticism, external criticism. You mentioned mentors, and so let's go a little bit deeper there. In fact, but let me flip it. And so tell us about what you would consider to be the most influential lesson that you ever learned from one of your mentors, Tommy, and then how that lesson helped you become the business owner, the thought leader, the movement creator that you are today?
There's two bits of advice. One came from what became one of my first, it probably was my first mentor ever. I'll give you the two bits of advice. And this gentleman, he's got a story beyond stories about his life journey and why he took me under his wing when he did. And it was in that 36, 37-year-old when I was really seeking and just to be a better human. He looked at me one day and he says, "Do you want to live your life or do you want to live your story?" And then I'll go a little bit deeper into that in a second. That really just punched me in the face when he said that. I was like, wow, that's genius. Because at the time, in pre-36, I was living my story. I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. I was living what I thought others wanted for me or society wanted for me. And it was always this issue of being insecure or not worthy, or if I put the true Tommy out there, what will people think? It was a fear-based stuff. So that was the first bit of advice. The second was, I was on a river rafting guide, believe it or not, and this was just massive wisdom. He says, and he was talking about the big waves that we would go through in the Class 5 rapids. He was like, participate in your own rescue. And that really hit me hard too. And he meant, when you fall out of the boat, turn around, put your feet up, look for the rope, look for safety, and help us help you save yourself. And both of those were such huge advice for me as a human being, as a man, and as the business leader I wanted to become. I come from humble beginnings, a blue collar background, first person to graduate college in my family, and made some massive, massive bad decisions as a young man. And that cost me, I was actually incarcerated when I was 18, served my 19th birthday in jail, but ended up being at Deloitte 3 years later. It's kind of crazy story, and I don't want to bore your audience with all that. But I was never making choices for me. I was always trying to compensate for that little boy who was insecure and didn't feel worthy enough. And that led into the decisions I made in my business career, where I was just the Viking stepping on everybody's face to get where I wanted to go, because I thought it would bring me happiness, and it never did. And then the participate in your own rescue was just about literally, what can I do as a human being to invest in myself? Because I'm a huge believer that you have to serve yourself before you can serve others. And that means your family, that means your business, that means your community, your churches, your synagogues, your mosque, whatever it might be. You've got to invest in yourself, and you've got to constantly grow, because this thing called life is tough. And business life is tough. The competition part of it, the pressures of it, the deadlines of it. I mean, we all know as large business owners how difficult it can be. And if you're not constantly working and improving yourself, especially your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, all that good stuff, if you're not investing in yourself, it's going to be really hard for you to keep it together all the time, especially when life or business kicks you in the face. So that was two really big pieces of advice I got from two very different mentors.
Well, so let's talk about a little bit more about the investing in yourself and like skills development and so forth. So what would you consider to be the most critical skill that you think business owners need to master in order to thrive today?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think you've got to constantly sharpen the pencil on your emotional and mental intelligence. I know that's foo-foo for us, black and white. I'm a financial consultant, and so I get the black and white and the profitability standpoint. But I don't care if you're in a technology business, a service business, a manufacturing business, a distribution business, humans still buy humans. And if you want to be the leader that you want to be, because we all, and this is the truth, we all want to be respected, we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, and we all want to be loved, especially as business leaders. But if you get caught up in your own nonsense and you're not working on how can I not be right here, right now in every interaction that I have, i.e. when I'm listening to somebody, I'm planning the next meeting, or I'm planning my next question. So it's about, working on your mental and emotional state for balance. So you're not reactive, you're proactive, you're not reactive. You are empathetic, and this is getting a little bit touchy-feely, but this is the true stuff. You've got to be, in order to be the best leader or best family member or best significant other, if you constantly work on, and there's a bunch of different tools that you can do, you've got to work on your emotional and mental state so that you keep balanced, you keep grounded, and you you're setting the example for all facets of your life that you want people to follow. Because if your employees or your family members or your friends and your communities are happy with what you're putting out in the world and how you're treating them and how you're empowering them as a leader or as a family member, I'm telling you, the business, the money and success and operations and all this stuff we can talk about on the business side are all the results of doing the right things. I mean, there's a lot of example of people doing wrong things, but it's not sustainable. It always blows up and every empire crumbles, right? But if you can constantly continue to sharpen that pencil, both mentally and emotionally, and that sounds so foo-foo in today's black or white business world, but it's the absolute truth. And so that's what I would recommend people. And there's a lot of different tools. Again, masterminds, coaches like myself, mentors, who you surround yourself with, getting out of your comfort zone. Like I go to 2 or 3 conferences a year that scare me to death, just to get out of my comfort zone and to learn something new and to network and to get to really just sharpen that pencil and to just put myself out there. Right. And so there's a lot of different things you can do.
This has been a fantastic conversation. I know our time is rapidly coming to an end here, but I have one more question for you. Give us a chance to chat about strategy. I'll give you a scenario here in just a second. But before I do that, I just want to say thanks. I want to say thank you for accepting my invitation. Thank you for coming onto the show, being so open, arms stretched wide open, and being so fully transparent and genuine, vulnerable, and in sharing your story in such a way that I know that it will have connected with many of our Onward Nation business owners. And so for that, I am grateful, Tommy. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. That, the only thing I can be these days is transparent, because I really, this stuff is so important to me as a human, and it's so important to so many of us. We only have so many circles around the sun, man. So why don't we do it with some happiness and meaning and balance, and also go out there and candidly kick ass in business? We can do it all. I promise. I'm doing it. So I hope that helps some folks out, man. I'm being very serious. So this stuff is super important for me, and I hope it comes through. And thank you. That was a very good compliment. I'm so happy, Stephen, to be here, and Onward Nation. You guys rock.
Thanks very much, sir. So here's the final question for you. So, Tommy, imagine you're standing in front of a room of brand new business owners, people just like you when you were starting out, and so maybe they're battling their way through fear or worry or doubt. I mean, maybe they're just struggling to try and find their footing. What would be 2 or 3 strategies you would recommend that they focus on to best ensure success?
Great question. So 2 or 3 strategies. The first one is know that you're not alone. This is not a strategy. This is just a knowing that you're not the only one in the room who's scared, insecure, and worried about the future. Because when you're building your own business, you're really putting it out there. So know that you're not alone, and you must take action and keep moving forward. So the first thing that I would highly recommend is, as business owners, especially entrepreneurs, we get caught so much in the day-to-day finance, operations, systems, product, humans. We get overwhelmed. Really, when we start businesses, we're usually super critically good at one particular thing. And it could be technology, it could be people. Focus on that. And surround yourself with the other people that you love and trust, and who believe 100% in what you're doing to accomplish the other things. And you just keep being the leader that you need to be, and concentrating on why you started the business to begin with. There's a reason you did it, and don't lose track of the sight. I think a lot of times too, we get overwhelmed in the minutia and the to-dos. And so related to that first one, I would say, every single day have one specific, because if you got 20 priorities, you have 0. Have one and call it an accomplishment list. If I get this done today, I will be happy with the success I made. And really concentrate before you get stuck in email or meetings or calls or networking or sales or whatever that might be. Really concentrating on getting that one thing done, because if you can do that every single day, that will put you so far ahead of everybody else. And finally, and this goes back into some of the stuff we've talked about today, don't let your ego get the best of you. Yes, we know you're the founder. Yes, we know it was your idea, but be humble. Don't let your ego get the best of you. Know that everyone that's surrounded with you, whether it's your support network, your vendors, your customers, your employees, or just your co-founders, know that they also are in this game with you. Listen to them, empower them. Don't make it my way or the highway, because we all get caught up in our own egos and nonsense. And just get the best out of everybody and yourself, and be humble while you're doing it too. So that would be some of the things that I would say to startups.
Phenomenal conversation. Thank you again. Just really phenomenal, from beginning to end. It was just absolutely great. And I know we covered a lot, but before we go and close out and say goodbye, tell us the best way to connect with you, Tommy.
Email me directly. You can email me at tommy@choosegoodnessnow.com or tommy@tommybreedlove.com. So if you email me, it might take me 24 hours to get back to you. I would love to hear from you. I would love to know about your company or you as a human. I really, really dig hearing from people, especially when I do these interviews. So it's tommy@choosegoodnessnow.com or tommy@tommybreedlove.com. Either one of those works. And I hope to hear from you. I really do. We're all doing the best we can, and know you're not alone. And if you're listening to this, you're probably very ambitious and you're probably rocking it out anyway. So I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, Onward Nation, no matter how many notes you took or how often you go back and re-listen to Tommy's words of wisdom, and I sure hope that you do, you have to do exactly what he just said by taking action. So take action. Take all of that he shared with you, that he so generously shared with you in full transparency. Take that and apply it into your business and into your life right away, and accelerate your results. And Tommy, we all have the same 86,400 seconds a day, and you mentioned it kind of circles around the sun. And so I am grateful again for your time, taking time out of your compressed schedule to come onto the show, to be our mentor and guide, to help us move our businesses onward to that next level. Thank you so much, my friend.
Stephen, what an honor. Take care, y'all.
This episode is complete, so head over to onwardnation.com for show notes and more food to fuel your ambition. Continue to find your recipe for success here at Onward Nation.